today it was announced by the Nuggets they have let go of Ryan Saunders, Popeye Jones, Charles Klask, and Stephen Graham. Welcome to the show. Appreciate you listening, and perhaps we start with you, Scott. Can you tell us what these guys were involved with and perhaps why they are no longer with the organization?
Well, one, I'll say this. You've got to, when you hire a head coach, and I've seen it happen in reverse, and it never comes out good. Like I had a buddy got a first-time head coaching job, and you know what? When you get offered a head coaching job, you got to take it. There's only 30, right?
Yep.
But then the GM said, I'm picking all your assistants. And so now you automatically build in well, what can I really say? Because you know this, there's coaches are always going to get mad at GMs and the front office. Front office is always going to get mad at the coaches, but you don't all of a sudden you get upset and somebody like, hey, by the way, head coach been talking about you the other day.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have some sort of trust factor. I've always said that every head coach needs at least one guy that's his barstool buddy that he can just bitch and moan and cry about everything too, that it ain't going no farther than those bar stools.
Yeah. Oh, sorry about that.
Well, to me, it makes a whole lot of sense, and it has nothing to do with the individuals. But look, man, you already were running the risk of feeling like you're running it back by hiring David Adelman. Like why'd you get rid of Michael Malone just to hire his protege? And if you're going to retain the majority of the coaching staff, then you're really like, well, why did we get rid of Michael Malone? So I fully expected there to be quite a bit of turnover. You obviously know the personalities a whole lot better than I do, Scott. But I think they didn't have a choice. If they're trying to reset, well, you got to reset. And if you're going to reset, you got to get rid of some bodies.
And I mean, they did it from a guy sitting right next to you to
well, maybe you can take us through each guy's job and responsibilities.
Well, Flip Saunders' job initially when they went offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator was in charge of the defense.
All right, Adelman's made some significant remarks about the defense.
And how they needed to change.
So was that them not seeing eye to eye on things?
Well, I don't know if it's him not seeing eye to eye, but he wants changes and he knows which way he wants to go. And you know, maybe that is what it is. Now, the irony part of it, his father, Ryan's father, was the GM in Minnesota and fired David's dad when David's dad was the head coach of Minnesota.
Ouch.
So
that's a circle.
There's a full circle come day.
Damn.
I don't know. I just think you want the guy that's sitting next to you, in my opinion, your guy. Like I said, the guy that's your barstool buddy that you can sit there during a tough stretch in February and you're upset at 18 people.
Is that going to be a new guy?
Yeah, I think it'll be a new guy.
Be a new guy.
I think it will be.
All right. So what's Popeye Jones? What was his
Popeye Jones was just another guy kind of on the bench and, you know, just probably didn't see eye to eye or he wanted a different voice in there. And so really after Malone was fired, the three guys on the front row were Popeye, Ryan, Popeye and Ryan.
Okay.
Klask was a workout guy and film
really?
breakout guy, and he was a guy that would look at the film and say challenge or don't challenge. He was kind of in charge of that.
Okay.
Stephen Graham, who's a good buddy and not quite a peer, but his college coach was my college coach, and so we always had a bond together because of, you know, we both grew up in college and became men in basketball.
Graham, of NBA guy?
To Eddie Sutton. Yeah, and he played in the NBA.
Okay.
Is a really good guy. Really, really good guy.
What is he in charge of?
Just another workout guy.
Okay.
He, working out the guys you see before the games. He'd always worked out Aaron Gordon.
Huh. Well, that seems kind of.
So there's two positions on the bench. Ryan Bowen, who's been plugging along for a lot of years, played here, came over with Malone, but he wasn't in part of the, would this be Black Friday, right?
Bowen and Malone used to commute to games and practices together. And he was in charge of, I don't know if this is true or not, I think it is, but in a fun way, free throws.
Yeah, well, I think David and he are tight too, though.
Okay.
So now give Ryan a chance to, I'm assuming, move from that second row of coaches up onto the bench, which is 6'8". It'd be nice for him to spread his legs out once in a while. So
okay.
And he's got a great relationship with Nicola.
Okay.
Like when we get on the bus to ride the game, and you got plenty of seats, Nicola comes in and it's the fourth seat from the front on the left. If you're facing the front of the bus, the left side. If you're coming on the bus, the right side. Comes in and plops down by Ryan Bowen every bus ride.
Well, I'm old enough to remember Ryan Bowe as the hustle guy as a player for the Nuggets. Big guy, 6'10",
an overachiever kind of guy.
Yep. Is it safe to say if you're not gone today, you're okay?
I think there's a great chance unless you get an opportunity somewhere else.
Okay.
And that's another thing also, staffs change all the time. Probably same thing in football. You're always losing a position coach or assistant DB coach or whatever. And some of these would be assistant whatever coach, assistant to the assistant coaches. And it gives them a chance really with the finals, looming to be able to find other employment in plenty of time.
Yeah, and see if Michael Malone gets a job somewhere, right? Michael Malone gets a job, all of a sudden a few of these guys, they might be just reuniting with him.
Any chance that any of these guys are pen pals with Ramona Shelburne? And that's an issue.
Oh, I don't know.
But maybe. I mean, that report wasn't great. And I would think that didn't translate great behind the scenes. So we're gonna leave that one alone.
I'm leaving that one alone because here's why I'm leaving alone.
Fine, good enough.
Here's why I'm leaving alone.
Maybe's the answer.
I don't know for certain, but I did see a conversation taking place.
Okay.
And then a week later, an article comes out.
Okay.
But I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus,
okay.
and anything else.
All right. Well, here we go. Some changes.
And another rumor I heard today that a lot of people think that it may be that Tinzer may get this job, but they will hire a president of operations over everybody.
Well, when you listen to Josh Kroenke talk in the presser, he sure spoke relatively glowing of Tinzer. I mean, it felt to me like he was prepping him. He was even asked about he had said in his first presser, well, we might go out and hire an outside firm to help us with the search, right? And then he was asked, well, did you do that? He said, no update there. Meaning, we haven't done anything. I think Tinzer's getting that job.
Well, to read between some lines, the Nuggets sent out a press release to the Muggles, the media, about job-specific titles. And one of them was Josh Kroenke was the vice chairman of KSE. Not the president of basketball or hockey or governor.
Not the governor. His dad was the governor.
That was his dad. He was vice president of KSE. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, this makes sense. Like, I think we are going to replicate the Avalanche model where Joe's the president
of hockey operations.
McFarland's the GM. He's got his own staff. And then you got the coach, and we kind of all talk. And that would make sense to me. I mean, that is how they operate things with the Avs. It makes sense that you don't change anything when you win a championship, and it makes sense that you change things to something else that you view as working somewhere else. So it's not like they don't have another example to follow. So that wouldn't surprise me at all, and that means the president of the team, well, that could be, frankly, I mean, there's a whole world of people that could be.
Well, yeah, yes. You got guys that have even started here that could come back. You've got other guys around. Someone told me just a while ago that Tim Connolly has an out on his deal this summer.
All right. Well, there you go. It's a familiar name.
But, and listen, I liked him a lot, and he's a good schmoozer and, knows how to get the media on his side. He's great at that. But I feel there's a pattern in Minnesota that there was here, that he's great at building this, but does he put the right pieces together to go over the top?
Yeah.
And I don't know the answer on that. It wasn't here. In fact, when he left, and to give Calvin some credit, I thought Calvin made two bold moves that put them on pace to win that championship. And I'm not sure Tim makes those moves.
I think there's a million different ways to structure an organization, Tyler. I don't think I think the one thing you need is good communication with whatever you've got set up.
Mm-hmm.
But, there's a lot of ways to skin that cat.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a little bit unusual, hiring the head coach before you got the GM, which makes you wonder, do they have the GM? I mean, you read between the lines, you just listen to the way he's speaking, and what has been your previous history promoting from within. That's what they've always done. They've just promoted from within. So I think they know exactly what that structure looks like.
I do too. And I think they listen, man.
I think the question is president of basketball operations. I think that's the big search.
I would agree. I would agree, and we'll figure it out from there. And how you structure things and how you've, look at your basketball talent. I don't know everybody behind the scenes there, and who knows what about basketball in terms of scouts and this, that, the other thing. I'm going to assume it's a big collective effort. And what you really need, and they emphasized it, is cohesion. We need to be on the same page with who we're getting and why we're doing it. And that clearly wasn't the case. And how that got so sideways in the first place, I actually don't know. I'm not sure why Malone and Booth were just so sideways on everything. But to your point, Tyler, it's not like Booth was there. Booth didn't hire Malone. I mean, Tim Conley left. And did Tim Conley hire Malone too, or was that Masai?
Tim.
That was Tim?
I believe so.
Okay. So what are you supposed to do? You got a coach, and now you got a GM, and I don't know, man. It just kind of goes from there.